First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to talk my kids into forgiving their dad? My kid's dad and I were married for a decade. He cheated on me multiple times and ended up leaving me for one of the women. This all came out during our anniversary party, which he actively helped me to plan. He went home with her that night and our marriage was over. I was heartbroken, angry, humiliated. Worse still, was people in his life knew about it. His younger brother and two of his friends were actively encouraging it and laughing behind my back, and he was joining them. Finding it all out was hard, but our kids never heard it from me what happened. I learned how to fake a smile and be civil, and I learned how to keep a distance without tension or bringing my kids into it. He and his wife treated the kids well, and I tried to focus on that while my kids were around so they would never know. I have healed, but there will always be some anger there. Not because of the cheating exactly, but the way he treated me, allowing me to believe things were fine, while laughing behind my back with his buddies to humiliate me when we were supposed to be celebrating a milestone with our friends and family. And even afterwards, he wasn't exactly kind to me. My kids and I always had a good relationship, and this seems to have bothered my ex's wife, who, they were never very close, and she started drinking a few years ago. All the kids are grown now, so it wasn't a huge concern to me. But a few weeks ago, she seemingly decided to rant and rave at the kids, revealing the affair and saying they treated her unfairly. The kids are mad at their dad and her. My ex came and asked me to talk to them and convince them to forgive him. I refused. He claimed I was an A and putting my feelings above theirs. But in reality, we have talked. I have told them they should not put my feelings into this, but I won't tell them not to be mad. They know more than I ever would have wanted them to know, even if I had chosen to tell them myself, which I never did. I didn't want to burden them or make them feel like they had to pick sides. I wanted them to have a healthy childhood. Am I the a-hole if I don't encourage them to forgive their dad? I know my ex is mostly worried he won't get to be grandfather to our first grandchild if the kids cut him off. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole at all. Kids learned this from his new wife and he wants you to tell them how to feel? That is a special kind of stupid. Worst thing is, he doesn't even seem mad at her, just me. It's like they blame me for her telling them. It's dumb. Info. Do they know everything by now? The full story? Or just some incomplete version? They know everything. Then he should realize that his kids hate him for 1. Him cheating on their mother. 2. Him treating their mother like crap. 3. Him running away with his mistress in such a public way. 4. You still being kind enough to them and sparing them the details, and also not making him look like a douche, which he didn't deserve. It's one thing you not telling them, so not to poison them or whatever, but him to not have owned up to it. Yeah, big man cheats on his wife and laughs about it, but can't take responsibility even so many years later? They have every right to be mad at him, and he has to take it like a man and suck up to those kids as much as he can. Not the a-hole. You behaved really admirably here, and your kids can see that. Everyone's living with the consequences of their actions. I tried. It was not easy, especially dealing with their dad and his wife. But my kids were so young and struggled enough with a divorce. I could never have hurt them more by telling them what happened. Not the a-hole. Your kids are their own people. They'll forgive him in their own time. Or not. He made his bed and now he has to lie on it. Exactly. They are all grown with their lives. They will decide in their own time and in their own way. Now for the second story. Will I be the a-hole if I uninvite my dad and stepmom to my wedding after finding out they cheated 20 years ago? I'm engaged, getting married in February. Recently, my fiancé and I were at dinner with my stepsisters. Their mom remarried my dad when we were young and we were really close. I don't really even see them as stepsisters. My fiancé was talking about how cool it is that we're close and asked how old we were when we met. Oldest sister, only 6 months older than me, and I were disagreeing about the timeline of when we met. I remember seeing stepmom around and specifically going to their house. Sister remembers that time, but no way, because they live in that house with their mom and dad. We then realized that their divorces were final with a month or so of each other, and I definitely knew who my stepmom was before that. We all remembered it as both parents were divorced, then met, but now that I'm really putting the pieces together, that isn't the case. I'm also incredibly close with my mom, and she has always hated stepmom, but she played nice for the most part. I always thought she was just jealous of stepmom. We all confronted them together. They just sat wide-eyed surprised we remember all that. And essentially, they didn't go about it the right way, but they loved each other and eventually decided to be together. All of us are freaking furious. I've always idolized my father, and the girls look up to their mom as well. I asked my mom about it, and she burst into tears about how she didn't want me to hate my dad. She put on a brave face with the two of them for 20 years now, and had to do it alone. Discussing with my fiancé, I don't want to subject my mother to that on my wedding day. She thinks I'm being extreme. Admittedly, this is new information to me and raw. I do love my dad and my stepmom too, but they lied to me for 20 years essentially. Will I be the a-hole? Edit. I'm a man. Apparently, I'm using the wrong form of fiancé. Also, I haven't mentioned this to either of my sisters, and they're both in the bridal party, but I know the older one was as shocked and angry as me. Younger was too young to really remember her parents together. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. It's your wedding, and therefore your choice who you invite. But I talked to your mom first about it, and really think it over with your fiancé so you don't make a decision you might regret later. You and your stepsisters have a right to be pissed off about this, but uninviting people that you admit to still love about seems to be an overreaction. Something else to remember, they didn't lie to you for 20 years. Their relationships and the issues caused by it had nothing to do with you and your stepsisters. It was their issue. Your mother did the right thing by not destroying your relationship with your father because his infidelity doesn't mean he was a bad parent. That's especially true since you said that you've always idolized him and you're all close. No, when you cheat and have kids, you hurt the kids in their own right. The kids have a right to be upset and work through whatever feelings infidelity brings up. They absolutely did lie to Opie for 20 years. If the kids had known about the cheating, it might have been harder for everybody to play happy family. Doubtless, Dad and Stepmom knew that it would be harder and wanted to avoid that. They were selfish. They lied. Not the a-hole, but, as others have stated, I think you'll regret it, especially seeing as you have such a good relationship with them. This is possibly unorthodox, but you could always ask your mother to be the one that walks you down the aisle, although doing so might create unnecessary drama. That said, she's held onto this burden for years to help preserve your relationship with your father, and I feel compelled to applaud her for that. Regardless of what decisions you make, I hope your wedding day is a happy one. Congratulations. Edit. In all honesty, I just assumed Opie was a woman. Sorry about that, Opie. I'm a dude, but was already planning on doing a son/mother dance. Thanks for the suggestion though. Might just have my mom escort me down. No a-holes here in the current situation, but be honest with yourself about why you're doing it or for whom. Your mom kept quiet all those years because she didn't want you to hate your dad. She thinks uninviting him from the wedding is extreme. It's not what she wants. If you're angry because you feel lied to, okay. I lean towards thinking it's none of your business, but you feel how you feel, and it's your wedding. But don't hide behind your mom, who's the actual injured party in all this. I fully agree with this. Opie is entitled to his feelings and to invite/uninvite anyone from his wedding that he chooses. That said, this is something that was truly between his parents. They worked hard to co-parent and keep the kids out of their marital affairs. Reddit tends to think cheaters are unworthy of forgiveness or ever moving on. But let's be real. Relationships are sometimes very complicated, and things aren't always as black and white as one side being good and one side being the scum of the earth. Sadly, Opie's mom was the offended party, so I think that her feelings should be considered. She seems to just want to move on without the drama or Opie choosing sides. And this whole mess is probably just making her relieve something she doesn't want to. Now, for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my children's grandparents their other grandchild is not my responsibility? I have 2 sons with my ex-husband. 2.5 years ago, he left me for another woman who was pregnant with his child. Once the divorce was finalized, he lost visitation rights to our children because of an unsuitable home environment, and he refused supervised visitation. My boys never met their half-sibling because of this. Until my ex passed away and his wife dropped off the face of the earth, leaving the child with my ex's parents. I then agreed to facilitate a relationship. The grandparents, however, were not happy with this and wanted me to take in this child and raise them because I am the mother of their siblings, and a child's mother is likely to never come back. They say occasional visits are not good enough. They also say that I could provide a better family structure than they could because they would never grow up doubting they were loved by a parent. The truth is, I could not bring myself to be active in this child's life. It's not the child's fault my ex had an affair, but I would never be able to give them the love I give my boys because they're mixed up in the mess my ex created. And the truth is, I don't want to be this child's mother or love them. I want as much of a clean break from my ex as I can get while still allowing my boys a relationship with their paternal family. The grandparents are now very unhappy with me and try to change my mind, and a few close friends who were supporting me have become divided. One of my oldest friends told me she believes I am doing the wrong thing refusing. She told me my children and this child would be better off if I just embrace the child and learn to love them. She believes it could heal me too. Another very, very close friend believes I am doing the best thing because if I feel this way, regardless of whether it's right or wrong, it would not be good for the child. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Jesus, I'm so sorry for you. You're right that the child is not your responsibility, and I think you're also right in your decision. If you know you can't give them what they need, then it is probably for the best that you don't take them in. And hell, any of these friends who think you are wrong should feel free to contact the grandparents and offer to take in this kid that they have no connection to. Exactly. No connection would actually be better than the extreme negative connection Opie has with this child. This kid is a constant reminder of one of the biggest betrayals and most painful times in Opie's life. Even if she did agree to take the kid in, they would grow up under the shadow of the pain caused by their father. Even if Opie was a total saint and never once let slip even a shred of her negative feelings in the presence of the kid, an impossible, superhuman feat. The truth will come out eventually, and the kid would be psychologically damaged growing up in that environment. She believes it will heal you too because it will be a nice story. Life is not a story. Not the a-hole. The grandparents raised a cheater and the broken family is proof of that. They just want you to take the kid so that they can pretend all's well that ends well. Agreed, this scenario would make the perfect rom-com movie where things like limited finances, housing, work, and time constraints don't exist. But all of these and more exist in the real world, and I respect Opie for being honest about her limits. Not the a-hole. While it is unfortunate that this child has lost their father and that their mother ran off, this child is not your responsibility. You should never take in a child whom you do not want. Your former in-laws and your friend who think that taking in your husband's affair baby would heal you are the a-holes. Take care of your children and stand your ground. Good luck. Part of me wants Opie to give out contact details of these friends to the ex-in-laws as interested parties, so they know what it is like to have someone try and foist a random child on you. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.